Okay, thank you. Would someone like to move to resume?
Yeah, of course we will.
Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Kennedy. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. We're up to 11.2. Notice of motion change to Howlong Mulwala and Coral Waste days, hours to Sunday. Moved by Councillor Longley. Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Longley?
Certainly. There's been a lot of complaints about that.
Oh, yeah, we did have a seconder. Sorry.
Right.
Councillor Kennedy.
Yeah, second.
All done?
Yep. Thank you.
There's been a lot of complaints from Mulwala and how long about the tip opening hours. 57 emails the other day in how long, or whatever you call them, on that Facebook thing. Magro came to the fore there and saved them a day and told them all to get stuffed. Is that how you said it? I've rung Possum and he and I have spoken about what happens at Mulwala. Spoken to Councillor Whitechurch about Corowa and with the How Long Progress Association. And those times that I've mentioned there seem to be the most appropriate times for all three communities.
Would any staff want to make a comment on those hours, or what it'll cost, or
I just want to know where the budget is, that's all. Tell me where the budget is coming from and I'm happy to go along with it. I haven't got a cent anywhere at the moment.
Well, at the moment you're opening Saturdays, aren't you, on
Yep.
weekends? Well, that's been deleted.
Yeah, but it's double time on Sunday.
So that gives me double time on Sunday and time and a half.
Well, no one wants to access the tips on Saturday because they've all got other activities.
so Councillor Longley, we're saying no tip opening hours on Saturday, so potentially, well, the blow won't be as hard. The Sunday's the double time, is it?
Yeah. Yep.
I know that.
I can't see how you can move a motion without telling somebody where the money's going to come from. I can't do something without having money to fund it.
Got to be somewhere.
Councillor Whitechurch.
Yeah. Now, I've come on the back of Councillor Longley's comments, and it was largely driven by a fairly irate post that popped up on one of the Facebook pages, predominantly in How Long, and the people can't access the tip in those different times. And the same, I think happened at Coral, where there's football on, and then it's going to go to cricket, and then it's going to go to tennis on a Saturday. Yeah, we've cut the hours back, and the perception is the fees continually go up, and the hours are cut back. We sit here and have to make a decision, and Director Carmichael has to say, well, where's the money going to come from? That's entirely right. People talk about the other shies around of what it costs to take the same sort of rubbish tip. We've got to run it as a business. But I think that somehow we've got to assist Director Carmichael in finding a way to make it so the community can use it. Or, I know that we've talked about dump stations and all these different things, but it's certainly a lot of flack in the community now, all communities, about the tip. And we're driving it from our point of view about the money, the community who are the users of the tip, saying, well, that's great, but we can't use it. We can't get there on that time. So I'd like to see somehow that we can work with Director Carmichael and find how, I know money's tight, so I'm thinking of you, how we can make it to work for the community. There is a lot of animosity out there in all areas.
Well, we could always charge double to get in.
Somebody,
No.
Councillor Thomas.
I mean, I did go over these particular points at our August meeting, even though it was delivered online. I can revisit them today if you'd like me to, which I probably will have to do to get this across the line. In May, you conducted a waste management strategy. It was a set of survey results. The top 5 included curbside service, education, hard rubbish, curbside service, extend curbside service to rural villages and rural towns. And number 5, extend opening hours, make opening hours more accessible. Come 12 months later, July the 6th, a media release. Our Mayor, Councillor Pat Burke, said these facilities have been open for 3 days a week and currently run at a financial loss each year due to the gate fee income being significantly less than expenditure required to operate each site. Council has made the decision to reduce the opening hours at Cora, Howlong and Mulwala. Council, but it didn't come to our business papers. So hence it's back on our business papers today, which is absolutely brilliant. Okay, we can absolutely then revisit our delivery plan once again and talk about waste if you would like. But I'm sure you already know what's in here. Considers residents, industry needs, and includes an appropriate funding model, which I acknowledge, and really appreciate Director Carmichael's thoughts around the funding model required to have our waste management facilities opened. But I mean, upon that too, if we really want to expand that out, you know, we have other things within our operational plan, which I would like to think will be covered in our waste management strategy, which we're really looking forward to being on our tables, is to investigate, implement opportunities to increase recycling, provide waste collection and recycling services. This is not just a recommendation about hours, but to totally digress. It is so much more. So maybe we need to receive some commentary not only about looking at those hours and accepting our community feedback, but gaining some commentary about where we're up to with our waste management strategy, looking at our recycle policies and our future landfill, where they might be. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Meagle.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just wondering whether or not the impact could be budget neutral if we increase participation or usage of the tip because we are catering for those hours, that might offset the increase in costs. Better to have it open on a Sunday and have 10 people use it rather than open on a Saturday and have 2 people use it. That be hopefully, and I think that's what the community are asking for and saying, this is the time we've got the best chance of accessing the tip. The more people that access it, the more income we've got to offset the operating costs.
Just a general measure.
Yeah, no, fully appreciate too, Director Steve's concerns with the budget. The manager, Tony Rentala, had some numbers based off the Mulwala progress letter, I think it was, around how much it would cost if we increase Mulwala, because naturally you look at these other 2 towns. In the north, they still have a Sunday opening of the 2 tips. It might be less hours or something, but there still is that Sunday opportunity. I think Tony arrived at some numbers just really quickly around an extra 10,000, I think it was, for the cost of 3 tips per year, but that's not in any detail as to what we might do with that Saturday saving or whatever it was to complement that. And then Councillor Thomas's point, the waste strategy has gone along a fair way. They've done a lot of work, and as staff we're working with that now to put that back forward to get at least that adoption of that and look at how we fund those things in it, even though there's a lot of moving parts within a waste sector and the joint regional collection contracts front and centre. But I think cutting back to this issue here, it'll just have to be managed as far as how we look at that financial modelling of the waste strategy. I think even Joe's looking at to do some work on that when you can get a chance to look at how it may impact over those next 10 years, because that's sort of where we plan for now. And it brings that rates committee into the fray as well. Level of service, 3 bin service in the north, whereas currently we have the existing contract. They're not screaming out for it by any means, but the government, what we're hearing is by 2030, the New South Wales government will have a rule that you've got to have that offering of recycling to send less into landfill. So there's challenges there, but we have to put forward that whole area or we miss the boat of the next advertising for that waste contract. So that's sort of front and centre as well, but I get the heat that's coming or has come already, and it's quite severe. Contact the councillors about that issue of losing that whole Sunday altogether. So understand where this is coming from as well.
The just to comment on, so I guess we're saying this 1 day a week, Sunday. So then we're not having a Saturday or the Wednesday. We'll just make it Sunday if they.
No,
We're going to pay double cost.
No.
What about your builders and all of that during the
Still
week?
written in there for days.
All your commercial waste.
Yeah.
And there is others by appointment, so if you ring and pay a fee, you can get access at out of hours times, I understand.
Oh, that's fantastic if somebody would answer the phone.
But I'm just trying to balance between what
Maybe.
saying and our cost.
Maybe you could do one of the tips Sunday or one of the tips Saturday, so as that as it's here, it's 3 on Sundays. Well, some people might like to use it Saturdays. So why not have one tip the other day? Like we have through the week, we have 2 on Tuesdays and 1 on Wednesdays. Why couldn't we have 2 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday, or vice versa?
It's the weekends that are the problem, isn't it?
It's the Saturdays are the killer.
Yeah, and of course from the feedback from the community, Saturday was no good because of sport, etc.
Because
What
we've got it now.
Councillor Meagle raised a good point that you might have an extra lot of waste come in that could subsidise, those extra penalty rates on Sunday. So I was just going to throw the suggestion up, or whatever happens to the weekdays, but just a Sunday. What about 2 hours per tip? Why don't people, if they want to tip on Sunday, get organised? A 2 hour block. We've got 1 to 4, 9 to 12, and 9 to 12. In Corowa, 1 on 2 hour block. Cut it back an hour each tip, and you've just got to be there. Well, organise. You want to dump your rubbish? That's your time slots.
They'll get to know, won't they?
Well, but at least we're trying to provide the service. We're trying to keep it within a budget, and on a Sunday.
The person that does Corowa also does how long, so he's got to have his lunch breaks. You need to adjust it. You can't. The way you got that written, he's got to go from here to there and start working again.
Not working off that. What I'm saying is on a Sunday,
yeah.
adjusted to suit that person, but it's only 2 hour slots. I mean, you could. Better bloke having a lot of work to do in 2 hours.
Wouldn't it be easier to bring a report back to the next meeting with some facts behind it instead of everybody? Because at the moment it's going to have to come out of the roads budget. That's the only budget we've got left.
Roads.
Well, we're saying 10,000 a year, which surely.
Well, it doesn't sound a lot, but my roads budget's already lost $2 million. You're not doing reseals. You're not doing gravel resheets. We're behind the 8 ball with maintenance grading, and now we're just saying, I'll just spend another 10 or another 20 here and do this. There is no money in the bloody budgets to do anything.
Yeah, but I realise that's not solving this problem that the community have got. We're just trying to solve this tip problem.
If you didn't have Facebook, you wouldn't have a problem.
Yeah.
You want to walk up Main Street to Howlong and see what the problems are when you get there. You get accosted all the time.
Well, there's none. I haven't had a complaint here.
I don't live here. I'm only.
That's fine.
Could do it alternate weekends. The first weekend of the month, have it Sunday or something, so as that 1 out of
Council.
4 weekends is a Sunday.
Yeah, the director did come up with a good idea. How about we do?
I'm happy to bring
if
it
we
back to the next meeting.
get a report back to next meeting,
Yep.
so that we're not all over the place, and we can get some facts and figures on paper and look at the real costs, so we can make a
We'll
good.
get the committee. We've got a committee.
Informed
Let's get the
decision.
committee together between now and the
Yeah.
next meeting and
Yep.
back some factual stuff.
Yep, I agree. Councillor Whitchurch?
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and that'd be a great thing if we can communicate that out through our comms team about we're revisiting it. And was there an opportunity to look at it, contracting it?
No, we've been through that exercise.
Okay, Councillor Longley, would you be happy with that?
Yeah, just a comment. I think the way it was done without any comms too didn't help our case.
Yeah.
All right. Okay,
So maybe some wording.
Yeah, some wording around that from,
Refer the matter of a potential Sunday opening of, and then leave all those tips to the Waste Committee for further review and a report to the October Council meeting.
the mover and second are okay with that?
Correct.
All right. All in favour? Against? Carried. So we'll move on now to 11.3, notice of motion Mawali Yarrawonga Bridge Maintenance Project.
Yeah, just add.
Moved by Councillor Thomas and seconded by Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Thomas, would you like to speak to that?
Yep.
No problem.
I thought this would be pretty straightforward. I suppose really, they actually, on behalf of, I'm going to say RMS, I know it's Roads New South Wales, they did actually keep the community informed. Like they gave the community regular updates, either with a newsletter in our PO boxes or information in the local newspaper, which was absolutely brilliant. I know there was a lot of questions, a lot of hesitation about the road closure and the timing of the road closure, and unfortunately, as I said, duress conditions, either the weather or border closures didn't help the situation, but they did it within a really good time frame. So they probably, our feedback is to thank them for that. As I said, the only final stage is line marking. Looks pretty sad. They said the line marking was August. Well, now it's nearly end of September. It's going to be October next week. So probably just a little bit of clarification about when that's going to happen. That would be absolutely brilliant. I don't know whether I have any more to say on this particular one. The reason that I have staged the three like I have, because I really feel like they're a bit like a jigsaw. One fits into the other for various reasons. So that's why I've put them in that order today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Any further questions? If not, I'll put it. All in favour? Against? Carried. 11.4, notice of motion Yarrawonga Weir Bridge, moved by Councillor Thomas and seconded by Councillor Wales. Councillor Thomas.
Yeah, no worries. So, the 15th of October, I don't know whether we or should be having a little celebration, because the Weir Bridge has had a long history, and with the two communities, it has certainly become an avenue for a really strong bridge crossing between the two communities. It is going to be sadly missed. I think a lot of people are going to have trouble adjusting to not having the Weir Bridge to access either the north or the south of the Murray River. So there might really need to be some really strong communication around that, because it just won't be there. But what needs to be there, and we need to be guaranteed that it is still going to be there, is that if there was further bridge maintenance works to be completed, that Weir Bridge would be open for transport. And if there was a really undesirable, which God help us never happens, but if there was to be a major accident on the current old bridge, what a disaster it would be if we didn't have another crossing. So just some clarification. Now, I have taken the liberty to have some correspondence with Transport New South Wales, and I have kindly written back to myself. Really happy to pass this transcript on to Council for your records, just with a couple of key contact details if we wanted to have any further follow-up in terms of what we're requesting, just to make sure that that does happen. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
So that's that is the date, the 15th of October.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further questions on that? Comments? If not, I'll put it all in favour.
Right.
Against? Carried. 11.5. Might have been better off standing. Remain standing. 11.5. Notice of motion Yarrawonga Mulwala Bridge replacement, moved by Councillor Thomas and seconded by Councillor.
No one.
Can I have a seconder, please? Kennedy.
No one wants to get the bridge replaced. As you can see from our operational plan, is to continue to lobby the New South Wales State Government for a new bridge over Lake Mulwala. We had our key members in the room with us, a few weeks ago now. I was just wondering if we could have any report, or do we need to formally write to find out what's happened to all those lovely submissions that would have went in from our general public in terms of a bridge placement for the Murray River at Mulwala and Yarrawonga. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Good idea. So anything further on that, councillors? If not, I'll put it all in favour. Against? Carried. 11.6, notice of motion, moved by Councillor Thomas and seconded by Councillor Wales. Councillor Thomas, would you?
No, it's okay. This is just, now I'm really happy to own this slight error in our business papers. Mr. Fitzgerald has not got an OAM. I thought he did have, but he hasn't. So if we can just make that amendment, that would be absolutely brilliant. We just absolutely had the privilege, not only the key staff members, but also Councillor Wales, to meet Mr. Fitzgerald and his lovely wife, Katie, as our Australian Day ambassador. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it to Australia Day at Urunna. They would have just absolutely embraced Urunna if they had got there, because of their personality types, just absolutely ovacious. But it was really good that they could come down and spend the day with us and have lunch with us for our volunteers luncheon. and how beautiful for him to walk that room, and he worked that room, and he met many of our community members. And I'm sure just from that really brief meeting that they would all feel really comfortable to further investigate some form of relationship between our two LGAs. And as I've said, he's from Blacktown. Well, those western suburbs, our heart can only bleed for them, what they've gone through. Their lockdown would look very different to our lockdown. At least we can still walk down our streets or walk in our backyard or walk in our back paddock, walk to the front gate. They might not even be able to open their front door if they lived in a, 12-storey building housing apartment. I do know that after conversation with our general manager that we have looked at developing a sister city relationship with a Melbourne LGA, but I can't see any reason why we couldn't explore the options for one into the north, especially Mr. Fitzgerald. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. That sounds great. And from memory, Blacktown has come up in the past. I think it's the largest local government area in the state, population-wise.
Well, there you go.
Okay, Councillor Wales.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to fully support this notice of motion from Councillor Thomas, and having attended the volunteers on that day, he was certainly a good ambassador. As Bronwyn said, he walked around the room, met everyone, but he was certainly a good ambassador. I hope this is a good motion to go forward.
Thanks very much. Okay, any further comments, councillors? If not, I'll put it. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Move on to item number 12, reports from committees. Are there any reports from committees? We've got a minutes from the local traffic committee there. Any other?
There's a recommendation there.
Oh, yeah. Recommendation. Would someone like to move that recommendation, please? Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Kennedy. Any questions or comments?
Just a comment.
Councillor Longley.
The signage that's just been put up, does that come under this committee or signage?
The slow down ones.
Oh, no, we've got, there's incorrect signage information in Howell and about 8 tourist signs. And I just didn't know whether this is the right place to be or not.
I'm not sure if does this committee deal with signs?
What sort of signs were they, sorry?
They're the big eye signs. As you come into Howlong, they're saying there's an information bay, 300 metres to the right, coming either way, into Low Square, and there is no information bay. It died about 8 years ago.
Because they're usually fairly well policed.
They're all these brand new signs.
You've got to go through a whole rigmarole to get permission to put them up, so I don't know.
Unless it was a replacement thing where they're already there and they're just replacing them.
Look, I can't answer that.
We thought it might
I've
have
never
been.
noticed them before, but they're in the multitude, yeah. Coming from both way. And actually, when you follow it around, I think there's two is before you get to the main street, and there's another one a bit further up.
Anyway, for Steve's knowledge, sorry about it. He's been action through Jared and the tourism group.
Have to get your logos where people
Right,
put
that's fine.
information.
No, that's fine, Councillor Longley. And added to that, sometimes it's very difficult to go home because there's still no sign to go at points Tirana. It was there, and it's been removed, and
We presume you know where you're going.
it's gone.
Covered in tumbleweed.
One lady
There's nothing
complained
there.
about weekly about it for me. So anyway, if there's nothing more on that, we've got to move. Oh, Councillor Watch.
Just something on the traffic committee if I could bring up. I think it's only fair that we wish Door Street a happy birthday. It's now gone on 4 years since Sue Curtis approached council to tell us the petition of 107 people. And it's had our good traffic committee, Norm, Councillor Wales is part of, and they've made probably different suggestions and put forward things that are going to happen. And I now see that we've got another idea there that we're going to do for Door Street from the traffic committee with a couple of speed humps in Hermitage Drive now. But fortunately, John and Mary Lucky's son must have been lucky. He's now moved on to the primary school, so he survived any accident at Door Street. But the primary school's now got a problem there with traffic problems. So surely with these children around, we can get something done. It's 4 years, I think, way too long for something that was an accident the community was concerned about.
Thank you, Councillor Watch.
Surely.
And I'm sure that Councillor Wales will make a note of those issues.
I'll bet it does it.
Thank you.
we're actually looking at maybe there's another round of LRCI, which Adrian and I have been talking about, so we may consider it that.
Okay. All right, nothing more on that one? All in favour?
Yeah.
Against, carried. Reports from delegates. 13.1, verbal reports from delegates. Do we have any verbal reports from delegates? Councillor Longline.
Yes, if I may, the AGM for ELSA, the Australian Livestock Sale Yards Association, was held, and the throughput, even though record prices was down in numbers, the membership quantification has come back because of that. So, or because of those variables, there is a deficit in their budget of about, I think, $16,000. There's still plenty of assets to cover where they are with a full-time CEO, and he's taken a reduction in his pay. But certainly, I spoke with David Coppolino in regard to we are members of two organisations, Elmer as well, and I think asking David what he thought about the tie-up to both opportunities, he certainly supports continuing with ELSA, and I think it's probably relevant that we ask. We actually didn't ask him at the last SALYO meeting, we should have done, in regard to continuing the membership with ELMA. I think if we're looking at budgetary concerns, it'd be worthwhile having a look at that before we realign with ELMA, certainly at David's suggestion, because he's right up close to it. I'm still on the board with ELSA, so representation's still there.
Councillor Longline, do you know what the cost of those organisations are to be members?
I think the ELSA one's about $2,600. It's based on the throughput,
Yep.
on the yearly throughput. So ours will be back on that because we haven't had near the 700,000 or 800,000. I think we're back to about 600,000. Might be a bit less. So that'll come back a bit, but the other one wasn't as dear. I think something like $1,600. There was about $1,000 difference, but David's position is that the ELSA one is still worthy because of the information feedback that he gets from certainly operational attunement for how it happens. They are a different state, we know that, obviously in Victoria, but he thinks it's still valuable. So that's just a consideration that is important, I think.
Thank you. Do we have any more verbal reports? Councillor Thomas.
Just a Murray Darling Association update. In the time frame, I have been able to host a meeting for Region 2, which was highly successful. Once again, we seem to be bringing to our agenda some really strong advocacy points, and a couple of those key ones are within our own footprint and have effect on the whole of Region 2 is the Yanko Modernisation Project. As you'd be well aware, this is the New South Wales State Government in line with the Commonwealth Government Sidland project. It has been discussed in many areas, especially if you're having conversation with Minister Pavey. Our New South Wales Water Ministry always seems to bring it to the forefront. What is happening there is that there's still, I would say, there's still not the transparency within the community, and our representatives who are attending these meetings, there was opportunity to create a partnership, and we're really fortunate that the Mayor of Murrumbidgee, Ruth McRae, I've asked her kindly to keep us in the loop about what's happening because she is across it in this space. She's been part of this journey for a long time and she's happy to do so. So I've asked her to keep the Region 2 up to date, and she's really happy to do that. So, thank you very much for Ruth for making that commitment. The other exciting thing is that the Murray Irrigation, as you would know, the headwaters for Murray Irrigation is the Mulwala Canal, and they've got an optimisation study underway in terms of using their 3,000 kilometres of channels for a proposed Sidland project. So that's an exciting thing. I would like to think at some stage that not only present to us here in Chamber, but maybe even through Ramjo that we can organise, and I know that's underway. Our General Manager knows that because we've had correspondence with the other GM at Edward River for that to happen. which is Deniliquin. So let's hope that can happen, and then everyone can get across what's happening in the Murray irrigation space. And when we were on our Zoom meeting for Region 2, I actually made the offer to Murray Irrigation if they could be one of the key presenters at the MDA conference, which is happening in Albury in 2022. The other exciting thing, which could be exciting, but it may not be exciting, but we really need to get across it, is two other things that I'd like to bring to your attention today is the Reconnecting River Country program. Director Appleyard did send the information out to us as a blanket to us councillors, and I don't know whether you want to make comment on it or if you know any more about it, Director Appleyard. But the other thing I've done is then I touched base with my fellow delegate, Councillor Whitechurch, for the Hume to Yarrawonga Weir Advisory Committee, and we've actually got that on our agenda, hopefully for next week, a presentation in regards to the Reconnecting River Country program and what it might mean for us, because they're using the Hume to Yarrawonga section as part of the 4 pilot projects for that. But I'm really happy to take some commentary from Director Appleyard if she wants to talk to it. I've just got one more thing I'd like to mention. When we were on our meeting the other day, Director Carmichael mentioned platypuses when we were in our conversation. And I just didn't know, but I've got this lovely brochure for you. And this is part of our Footprint Federation, is that YACTAC. Does everyone know what YACTAC is? Maybe I could give it a lolly if we didn't know. Councillor Burke, would you like to explain to everyone what YACTAC is?
Yeah, so Trina Thompson is the chair of YACTAC.
Yeah.
And it's YACTAC is sort of the Yanko Billabong tributaries and a lot of those point. And I was going to take you back a moment on, so that's YACTAC, and then you've got the Yanko Colombo project, the Sidland project.
Yes.
Had Ruth talked about it started off as the Yanko Weir project,
yes,
more focused on irrigation and losses, and now it's gone back to especially environmental watering and
modernisation project.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're probably finding a little bit angst about, is that the journey or the goalposts keep changing.
Yeah.
And now Melinda Pavey wants to change it again. And I can quite openly say that because she said it in the room to us a few times now, that she was taking it back to Cabinet. And I suppose that's why they had those series of updates, which I think might have been about 10 days ago.
Yeah.
They had a series of updates over 4 days. Ruth's really happy to make representation on our behalf, which is exciting.
Did she say what changed too?
Well, I've actually asked her to put pen to paper.
Yeah.
And so then, we can get a clearer understanding, because we're not sitting in the room, and she has been sitting in the room as part of that journey. So I think once we capture that, we can actually then probably talk to it more.
Yeah, we're very lucky that Trina is over YACTAC, Colombo Yanko, so she can connect them all together.
Which is good. Anyway, part of the YACTAC is that they've been doing platypus surveys. So I thought Director Carmichael might be very interested in some of the DNA results they're getting from the platypus surveys, which are occurring in Federation to the north. So I've got this brochure for you. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councillor Thomas. You talk there.
You want to talk to River?
Yeah, I can.
You don't have to.
That's right. I had an introductory session with the 2 officers that have been appointed to do the connection to country. They're starting from a very low bar, for want of a better phrase. This is going to be a work in progress. So they were looking for information as to what we were currently doing, what we've been involved with in the past. So they're very open to working with council, and I have suggested that they present to council when they've got a clearer idea of what they're actually going to look at delivering on ground, or if they need ideas of what they can deliver on ground, especially for Federation Council.
Also got to engage with the landholders along that landscape as well.
Yes, so that was part of it. They also asked about what infrastructure of councils would be affected in the event that they were connecting back to country with flows. So I won't go into that. I don't understand that side of it, but I think there's a lot more information needs to come out. There isn't a lot of information that they could provide when we had our meeting, so I think it's a watch this space and keep up with it. Yeah.
That's just, we want to talk about watch this space. It's a bit like the floodplain harvesting.
Yeah.
How that might even affect us to the south as well. And I'm sure you've got staff members looking at that as.
Yeah, good.
which affects real land holders
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, well, thank you very much. That being the last report, I'll give, if there's no other questions, I'll put it all in favour. Did I get a move and second for that?
Not yet,
I'm
sorry.
sorry, moved by councillor Meagle and seconded by councillor Longman. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Correspondence, item number 14, correspondence requiring council action for information, that's 14.1, Local Government Grants Commission. So there's a letter dated on 20th of August 2021 notifying council of the 2021 estimate financial assistance grants bags, advising when instalments will be paid and calling for special submissions from council in the 2022-23 to be considered by the commissioner, and a copies included. Do any staff want to make a comment on that, or as it is? As it is, so all, any questions or comments, councillors? If not, I'll just put it. Oh, sorry,
No, as it is.
As it
Thanks,
is?
Mr Mayor.
Move it first.
all in favour?
They're going to move it.
You have to move it.
Oh, we've got a mover?
No.
Sorry, councillor Kennedy, thank you.
I moved it.
Councillor Longley, all in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you. Okay, so now we're moving on to item number 15, confidential matters. So, we'll
Move and second.
get us someone to move into confidential. Moved by councillor Meagle, seconded by councillor Kennedy. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried.